Welcome back to the channel, everyone, and our review of the new film from Apple Studios, Fly Me to the Moon. Since it just came out, I'm going to keep it as spoiler-free as possible. Starring Scarlett Johansson, Channing Tatum, and Woody Harrelson, the basic plot is that during the late 1960s in America's race to the moon against the Soviets, the space program is critically underfunded because of various reasons, including disinterest on the public's behalf, belief that money should be spent elsewhere, concern about the Vietnam War, and a general belief that the mission may not even be a success. And so this is a situation that Cole Davis, played by Channing Tatum, finds himself in as the director of launch operations at Cocoa Beach, Florida. The government's answer? Send Mo Burkus, played by Woody Harrelson, who's a shadowy government operative modeled after the real-life E. Howard Hunt, who is famously involved in the Watergate scandal, to recruit Kelly Jones, played by Scarlett Johansson, the best advertising and marketing brain in all of Manhattan. Her job is to turn around public opinion and sentiment for the space program, therefore pressuring Congress to supplement the Apollo space program with more money. Now, the tension becomes the fact that Johansson's character is an expert liar and manipulator, and Tatum is a straight-laced Boy Scout who has given his entire life in service to his country. She looks at the space program as a way to grift money, and he looks at it from the perspective of doing something noble and unselfish for the rest of humanity. As you can see in the trailers and commercials for the film, eventually the idea to create a fake moon landing in case the real one does not actually happen is a major plot point. And I'll leave it at that because I don't want to spoil anything, including the entire ending. The director of the film is Greg Berlanti. Yes, that Greg Berlanti, one of the producers, writers, and directors behind CW's Arrowverse, which gave me low expectations when I went into the theater. As well as this being an Apple Studios release, I make no bones about it. Apple Studios is something that I have a previous professional connection to, as well as one that I have not been very kind to in my reviews for movies such as Killers of the Flower Moon or Napoleon. But I have to say, this is the best film Apple Studios has released since its inception. And while there's nothing groundbreaking about Berlanti's direction, it's fine. It's absolutely fine. He gets the job done. And it doesn't hurt that Tatum, Johansson, Harrelson, and the rest of the cast deliver great performances for the roles they are given. By that I mean, this is not a film that is meant to contend for an Oscar. It's not a high drama with deep emotional and cultural undertones. No, this is a film that is meant to be entertaining and escapism, something it succeeds at very, very well. In moments, it is silly, sometimes a little too silly. The film is best described as a satirical romantic comedy wrapped in historical events. In that way, it offers moments of drama, moments of romance and comedy, moments of societal satire, and of historical retrospective. And most of them work. There are a few plot points towards the end that get a little over the top and feel like the writing got a little bit lazy in service to getting to the conclusion that the script demands. But when talking about conspiracy theories, especially about the moon landing being faked, silly and over the top may be just the right way to go. The film was written by Keenan Flynn, Bill Kirstein, and Rose Gilroy, and I found that their take on the subject matter, the manner in which they approached the whole conspiracy plot as extremely playful without forcing the viewer to leave the theater without any bias, was a great way to go and a great choice. Because if you went into this film believing that the moon landing was real, you left the theater that way. If you went in a believer in the footage being faked by Stanley Kubrick on a soundstage, you left with your own opinion intact. They even managed to mention to Kubrick in the film, which I thought was a nice nod to the whole conspiracy theory and the whole story surrounding it. Beyond the writing, what makes this film are the production values and the acting. 1969 America. They nailed it. The furniture, the clothes, the architecture, the pop culture, everyday life, they just nailed it. And that was my first thought in the first 3 minutes of the film. They nailed the environment. It really felt like you were in that time period. In addition to the production, the music choices augmented their scenes perfectly. Whether it was something from Motown, something from doo-wop, something from rock and roll, everything fit and everything really brought up the emotions of the scene. The use of archival footage to install a sense of belief in what you were seeing was perfectly placed in the right spots, whether it was Walter Cronkite doing the news or footage of actual launches from the Apollo program. These clips helped to build the world that the film wanted you immersed in. And yes, this is an Apple Studio film from one of the most progressive and liberal companies in the world, so you can expect some commentary on feminism. But in the late 1960s, that was the reality of the time. So a few lines at the beginning of this film shouldn't chap your ass, but when I heard the lines, I could hear the internet revving its engine, so I figured, why not mention it here? Really, that was a big deal back in the 1960s, especially the late 1960s. Feminism, the movement was in full swing, so it's expected that you're going to hear a little bit about it, but it doesn't take over the movie. But again, going back to the production value and creating the world, it really was top notch and really was impressive to see. In terms of the acting, the chemistry between Tatum and Johansson was great. It was actually surprisingly great. Johansson, an award-winning and Oscar-nominated actress, is having a lot of fun in this role because it allows her to just be a chameleon. But you never get the feeling that this is a challenging role because it's not meant to be a challenging role. It's not high drama. And her acting comes off as effortless. Channing Tatum was one of the surprises for me. When you say Channing Tatum, I think of G.I. Joe, of 21 Jump Street, of cameos and slapstick, over-the-top comedies that are sometimes a little cringy. I don't think of someone who can hold their own with an actress the likes of Scarlett Johansson, but he does exactly that. He was, for me, my second favorite performer in the entire film. And again, the role does not ask a lot of him, but what it does ask, he delivers. However, my favorite performer in the film is Jim Rash as Lance Vespertine, a flamboyant and high-maintenance director of commercials who Scarlett Johansson employs. Every scene he is in, he steals. If you laugh out loud during this film, odds are it will be because of something he says and how he emotes when he says it. Not that Tatum or Johansson don't offer a good chuckle here or there, they absolutely do, but Rush developed a great character and his timing and tone are just perfect. I even feel a little disappointed in myself that I've never heard of Jim Rash before this film. I wish there was more of him on screen during the 2-hour and 12-minute runtime. And as far as the supporting cast goes, whether it's Ray Romano, Woody Harrelson, everybody else just did a great job with their roles and they delivered the performances that the film needs to be successful. Now, I'm just one critic on YouTube, and my one opinion is in a sea of others. And I noticed that a lot of the mainstream critics took issue with the way in which the Apollo moon missions were handled, turning them into a commercialization and at times minimizing the effort and sacrifice of a large portion of the nation to achieve one of mankind's greatest moments. But that's the point. The film is purposefully satirizing a time in American history when patriotism and national pride intersected so perfectly with consumerism and the exploding world of advertising. I feel like these critics just do not have a real handle on American history beyond the headlines and miss the point of the film. Because this is not a serious film. If you're going into it looking for seriousness, you're in the wrong theater. It is not a perfect film. It is not a challenging film for the actors. It is a fun film, a feel-good film, a unique look at a time period that has spawned 1,000 conspiracies. And of all the movies I've seen this year and have reviewed this year, in my humble opinion, this one's well worth the watch. The film chooses to make an effort to entertain you, looks for something creatively unique. And yeah, it may stumble in a few spots, and it may shift tones a little more than you wish it did, from satire to drama to comedy to romance, and then back again to repeat all over, but it does not ever take you out. Yes, there are moments in the end that will have you saying, no, I can't go that far into my suspension of disbelief, but by then you have a good understanding that the film just doesn't take itself seriously. So yeah, I enjoyed this film, and I think you will too. It was a good time at the theater, and in the end, that's all I ever ask. And that's what I think. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Do you plan on seeing this film? If you have already, did you like it or did you wish you skipped it? And where do you stand on the whole moon landing conspiracy? And if you want more movie reviews, click on the thumbnails at the end of this video for my retro movie review playlist and my general movie review playlist. I thank you for watching. And don't forget, hit that like and subscribe button. It really helps out the channel. I thank you for watching. Remember, I'm still your reluctant gringo and from south of the border. Salute and a huevo.